Good afternoon. Today we are joined by David Brecher, the CEO and founder of FM Home Loans. If you don't mind, David, I'm going to get straight to the point.
Yeah.
It's Friday afternoon. We're in a corporate office. What are you doing here on a Friday afternoon in a corporate office?
Well, I think the better question is, why are people not in the office on a Friday afternoon? I mean, I guess I'm old school, but after going through a couple of years of COVID and the whole work from home and that type of thing, it's crystal clear to me that working from the office is far more productive than working from home in a lot of different ways, and I could get into it, specifically. But certainly in training of new people entering into the workforce, and especially into the mortgage business. One of the issues that the mortgage industry is battling with right now is that the average loan officer is plus 40 years old. There's not a lot of new people coming into the business, and with the addition of a lot of new technology, AI, etc., I think that's very problematic to the industry. So one of the things that we've done here at FM is we've started a very aggressive hiring and training program, and I'm intimately involved with that program. I spend a lot of time with our new recruits, educating them, getting them up to speed on the business, getting them to understand very clearly on what's happening in the market today. And whenever we hire somebody, the first thing I tell them is that this is serious business. You got to be here every morning. You got to be here all day, and that includes Friday. You eliminate Friday, and you've eliminated 20% of your work week. So being in the office on Friday is important. For me, it's important for my company. It's important for the people who work here. Happens to be that today specifically, and the reason why we started this so late is that we were, me and some of the secondary marketing people, we were finalizing a massive trade that we did for our company. It's pretty big, selling a very large non-QM portfolio. That these things always seem to settle on a Friday. Right? Yeah. Hey, that's the way it goes, and I think it's critically important. I think in-office work is important. I understand a lot of people can work remotely, and it does work for some. But in our business, I find that you've got to be in it to win it. The bigger question is, if I'm not here on Sunday, why is that? I know you're going to be here on Sunday, and that's for sure. Yeah. But you might see me on Sunday. Yeah. I don't think I took off a Sunday until I was probably in my mid-40s. So yeah.
Next question. You started your career back in 1989 working for Geld Funding. What was it like in Geld Funding? And when you got your job, did you have any formal education?
So at that time, I was obviously a lot younger than I am today.
You look the same.
It was actually the second job that I ever had. The first job I had was as a real estate salesperson. I honestly kind of fell backwards into it a little bit. I was very fortunate to work for an individual by the name of Abe Eisner, who he was a no-nonsense kind of guy, is what I will say. He was looking for an assistant. I became that assistant, and I still remember my first interview. I think it was my only interview that I had with him, which was that he asked me, like, why should I hire you? You don't know anything. You've never been in the business before. Why should I hire you? And I'm like a dumb kid. I said, I really don't know why, but I can tell you this. I said, I am ready to run through a brick wall. I said, I'm going to, whatever this is, and I had no idea what it was I was getting myself into. I said, I'm going to do a great job, and I'm going to do it very seriously. And the funny thing about that is that I remember when I got the job, I think I got the call maybe on a Thursday or a Friday that I had gotten the job, and that weekend I bumped into somebody and they asked me, what are you doing? What are you going to be doing for a living?" And I said, "Well, I just got this great job at a mortgage company." And the person says to me, "Oh, that's interesting because I need a mortgage." And I said, I don't know anything about mortgages, so I don't even, he started talking to me about it. I didn't even know the terminology, the words that he was talking about. I mean, I'd never taken a mortgage. I didn't know anything. And I started the job on Monday. By Tuesday, I was already calling that person multiple times and saying, "Hey, you remember you need a mortgage? I'm your guy. I'm your guy." So, I learned very quickly. Obviously, there was a huge learning curve. In those days, there was zero technology. Everything was done by hand. The mortgage application was written out by hand. The mortgage application was just 2 pages, front and the back. The verifications that were sent out, like verification of employment, verification of deposit, things like that, we had the borrower would sign them, and it was like a stencil. There was it would sign it, and the signature would go through. I don't even remember what that's called anymore. And that's how and then they would mail those out to get the verification.
Everything was mailed.
Everything was mail. Everything was through mail, snail mail. The appraisals would come back where the photos of the properties were scotch taped onto the appraisal. The credit reports, there was only TRW at that time, which was right. TRW was I think that's still, I think they changed their name, but I think that's still one of the repositories that's used today. And what we would do is we would do an initial credit report, and just kind of like we had a keypad. We would punch the information in, and with a dot matrix printer, it would print out the credit report. There was no credit scoring in those days. There was no FICO score or anything like that. What it was just tell you, what was on the credit report, and then we would have to get what was called at that time a tri-merge report. And then we would have to, I think we'd have to call the credit company, give them the information, and then they would mail us a credit report. So everything was very clunky, obviously, compared to what it is today. But that's just what it was. And getting a loan in those days, even though certainly compliance was a lot easier, the guidelines might have been a little bit more lax than they are today, or less intricate, but just the process of putting a loan together in those days was certainly very, very complicated. But we didn't know any better, and we just did what we did. I got to see a lot of different types of deals. Most of it back then was pretty simple. I mean, we would get a rate sheet in the morning. We would have a 0-point rate, a 1-point rate, a 2-point rate, and a 3-point rate. And probably the most popular product that we sold in those days was a 15-year fixed.
Right, everybody was.
Yeah. Well, the market was a lot different.
People aren't into 15-year fixed.
Not today, very, very little. We even did 10-year fixed back in those days. And even adjustables were certainly popular. I mean, interest rates at that time were 12%. When I got into the business. And as a matter of fact, as a very young loan officer, at the time, I remember telling a client when rates hit like 9 7/8, I said, wow. I was maybe, I was like a 20-year-old kid, and telling this 40-year-old guy, I said, single digits, we'll never see this again. You better, we better get this deal done ASAP.